Welcome to Sports Tonight Live. Sports Tonight Live is back, and it's back on the app. It's also back on sportstonightlive.com. And for the next 6 weeks, Wednesday, Thursday evening, 7 till 9, we're going to be previewing the World Cup. And we've got a number of guests that we'll have on over the next 6 weeks. But first of all, you don't often get two Fulham fans in one room, but you have this evening. We've got David GIBBS. Good evening.
Good evening, Peter.
Matthew Baldwin. Good evening.
Evening, Pete.
And Kenny Ken.
Oh, good evening, Pete. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
He's the Arsenal fan, by the way.
Yeah,
we're the Fulham fans.
He's the
we
Arsenal
just separate
fan.
ourselves.
Just a brief outline, David. What do you do?
I work in the sports media world, so journalism, freelance, worked with people at the FA, worked with people at the RFU, and sort of a few publications as well.
Okay. And Matt, who's wearing a Croatia top this evening,
yeah,
just to
well,
wind people up.
Yeah, well, being Welsh, it's anyone but England case in my scenario.
Right.
So I've got one shirt for about 5 different teams during the World Cup, so I'll be changing it every week.
And we will be talking about a subject, Wayne Rooney, which is close to your heart, Kenny.
Oh yes, he's England's talisman, not.
His talisman, not. He shouldn't be playing. We'll find out why a bit later on. Let's talk about the England build-up to this World Cup first of all, and are they out there? Have they been out there long enough, in your view, David?
I don't think they've been there long enough. The preparation's going well from what we hear, but we'll discuss sort of in a second, I guess. And I think they need to be in Manaus now, to be fair.
Manaus, and they were giving themselves 24 hours in an area which they've just been given malaria tablets, which may well be an excuse to come out if we don't get a result against Italy.
Personally, I think they've been a little bit too cautious with this. I think when you're in a place such as Manaus with the tropical climate, I mean, Miami was a good idea to sort of get it done gradually. So I think Manaus, are they getting it right? We'll find out. I mean, it may turn out to be a stroke of genius not going that late. So we'll never know.
Well, like I said, it's all about results for me. When you talk about preparation or lack of it, as you mentioned before, it's a ready-made excuse for it not going well. It's like when I did badly in South Africa. Oh, we had all the excuses, man. It was like a 5-page essay of excuses why they performed badly.
But it's like taking a trip from Gatwick or Heathrow and going over to Cairo and expecting to play a game the very next day. And you laughed at this stat earlier on, but it would take you 5 days along the Amazon River to get to
this isn't the 1930s. People don't travel by boat anymore.
Yeah. No, they don't.
It's a long way. I mean, the only way you can get to Manaus is by flight or by boat. Yeah. And I'm sure we've all heard about Manaus and the conditions and sort of
David, obviously you haven't been out in Brazil, but you've been sort of in altitude. Explain what happened.
I sort of took part in a sports science experiment with a well-known energy drink, and we played 5-a-side in the conditions of Manaus on the day. So it was 32 degrees, 76%
and
humidity.
how was that done? I mean, was you like in a bubble of?
Yeah, we were basically in a 5-a-side pitch with closed doors, with the lack of oxygen and sort of humidity pumped into the room to replicate the conditions. And I tell you what, the first thing I felt was the heat and the moisture hit you. It literally hits you like a wall. Within 2 minutes of playing, my hands were very clammy, and it's when you play in it, the mentality is that gets to you. You lose concentration. You start.
Well, you're not a professional footballer by any means, but you felt the fatigue after what? 10 minutes?
Felt the fatigue after about 5 minutes. I actually came off after 8 because my heart rate was 3 times what my resting rate was.
Your point about the energy drink, and we can't mention energy drink, and that's where I think these water breaks that everyone keeps going. Pardon?
Do you ever take an energy drink?
Well, I don't do all that much exercise, as you can see. But anyway, all the commentators in the build have been saying, how these water breaks are going to be key. I think that is going to be a very crucial part to it. You don't want England players running on empty after 30 minutes. You're going to have a break.
I mean, I lost a litre of sweat in playing 50 minutes of football, right? Imagine what it's going to be like playing 90 minutes of football.
We had the same conditions like in the 94. Remember 1994?
Yeah.
When the Republic of Ireland played Mexico, when like I said, the same sort of conditions at altitude, and the Irish players, like I said, needed water brought into the pitch as well. So it's not the first time this has happened in a major tournament.
And they have said if the heat goes to 32 degrees, they can have up to is it 5-6 minute break or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well,
Sounds
Well,
about
it's going to have to. Well, can you imagine
Well,
playing
I
World
think
Cup in Qatar?
what I'm saying is, I think it's mentally, it's about you lose concentration. You will put a misplaced tackle or misplaced pass in, and that's what could cost a game. And it's for both sides though. It's for England and Italy. I think that is the advantage.
On a national front, why are we underestimating England? I mean, we've got Italy in the group who haven't won in 7 up to a club side recently. Uruguay, they finished 5th.
Realism. Simple reason is that.
But didn't we have it in the last time in the Euros and stuff?
That's when it started. But I think what's happened, I think people should not estimate the.
What I'm trying to say, Kenny, is are we underestimating our own ability? Because
not at all. It's accurate.
Side?
It's accurate. The simple reason is that the World Cup in South Africa enabled the English fan to all this sort of jingoistic nonsense, all the scales that come out from their eyes and look at it from a realistic point of view. The game in England is too fast. There's no winter break. They concede possession too much during games to the extent that they're not going to do well at all.
There's a lot of nationalities that play in the Premier League.
The loss to Germany in the last World Cup was definitely a wake-up call for England.
Yeah.
Right? It woke England up and went, you know what, we are nowhere near the top table of football, of world football. We need to reevaluate what we need to do.
Well, St George's, isn't it? St George's Park.
And I think St George's Park is it's a great thing. But I think when we look at it, England at Euro 2012, we had Roy Hodgson who just come in,
we had Greg Dyke when the draw was made doing that sign.
Yeah,
Italy have drawn against Luxembourg 1-1.
Yeah,
Uruguay
struggled.
That's a friendly. That's a friendly. It doesn't mean nothing. Italy did badly in the friendlies before 2012 and got to the final. Got to the final. So you've got to discount the friendlies.
Italians won't.
Yeah, I was going to say, and in the friendlies, they were playing their reserves. I mean, I went to see them play Republic of Ireland at Craven Cottage, and I didn't even know half those players. So it does show that Italy don't have much strength and depth.
One of their
I'll say that.
Levi broke his leg during that.
He did. Yeah. That was harsh to watch. But yeah, they don't have strength and depth, but their first team is incredible. So don't just go on the friendlies because they weren't putting out that full. I mean, England. How many of those players that played against Honduras? Was that really Roy Hodgson's full strength side?
Yeah, but he's going to need those players because what we've actually portrayed is that it's going to be play that attitude. There's going to be heat. He's going to need use all 23 of those players. He's going to need them. So he needs to look at them and he needs to know if they can step in and fill the positions when injuries do happen.
I think England do have a very strong squad.
Yes.
If we look at it in that basis,
yeah.
And we've got some definitely good substitutes that we could bring on.
And he's got a fit squad. He's got a fit squad this time.
Play in positions.
With exception of Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Talk about Wayne Rooney. You're against Wayne Rooney, aren't you?
Well, of course, I think
you say he's not fit.
Well, he's not fit. He's not fit. You see his interview. The first question I said, "Why are you in Portugal?" "Oh, I just came back. I've just been injured, and I just needed 2 physical trainers to help me get fit for the World Cup, where I'm going to start flying all over and I'm going to have a great World Cup." No, this is my.
But who's going to play that number 10 role? You keep saying Wayne Rooney. Who's going to play number 10 role?
Before I answer that question, all right, we've got 2 players, Lallana and Barkley. Barkley's fit. He can play that role.
Barkley's not an out-and-out striker, though.
He's not an out-and-out striker, but we've already got an out-and-out striker. We've got Daniel Sturridge, an out-and-out striker.
So we've got Sturridge, and then
Barkley.
Barkley can play behind him. And Barkley will create chances.
But can he last 90 minutes? Could he play 2 games?
Can Rooney last 90 minutes?
I think Rooney could.
Is it fair to say though, when Roy Hodgson names his first 11, that the first 2 names he puts on that first 11 is Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney?
Joe Hart.
No.
Joe Hart.
No. And the rest of the back five.
Rooney doesn't pick himself. Rooney doesn't pick himself. If he looks the other day, the British public, the English public, are going to think, Rooney's a cert. We don't know what's going on behind there. We don't know if he's 100% fit. I'm not convinced the guy is 100% fit. I think he's 80% fit maximum.
I would rather still have an 80% Wayne Rooney than 100% Jermaine Defoe or Andy Cole.
You do realise in that heat you are carrying a player. Like you mentioned Manaus, you've mentioned the fact that there's only water breaks. You're basically taking a player that's not 100% fit in those
But Wayne Rooney he can give you that moment of magic.
He can, but so can Ross Barkley.
But he's not mature enough to be able... You say
Wayne Rooney was 17, he gave us those matches in 94.
Roy Hodgson is protecting Ross Barkley.
For 2016.
He doesn't believe that Barkley If he gets all this attention, exposure, and has an amazing World Cup, he's going to burn out, which is one of your points.
Is he protecting Ross Barkley?
He is protecting him.
Too much.
He's not protecting him too much. He's doing the right thing. He's feeding him, dripping it to him, and that way he can develop, and he's still learning in process for.
Do you know one play we discounted? We talked about Lallana and we talked about Barkley, but if you look at the way Raheem Sterling was playing towards the end of the season towards Liverpool, he could play behind the front man, and he, like I said, he wasn't, like I said, isolated the wing. Like I said, Brendan Rodgers actually played him behind the strikers, which he did score goals at level.
We'll get on your teams later on, and it'll be quite interesting reading exactly. Matt, especially going for James Milner, we'll be talking about that in part 2. But just to touch on Wayne Rooney, then you wouldn't start him against Italy.
On a personal level, I think Roy
will
pick
but
him.
You wouldn't.
No, because he's not fit. It's not personal. It's just I don't think he's fit enough to play start at this level.
So if he was fit, you'd definitely have him there.
With reluctance, yes.
Okay. I just don't think you like Wayne Rooney.
It's not personal.
I think
it's not personal.
You've got to have Wayne Rooney in the side.
Yeah,
he's a great player. He will turn that magic. I know he hasn't done it in many tournaments, but when he does, and if he does.
But Kenny's argument is, you look at Wayne Rooney's record; he's never scored in the World Cup.
And he's
so
burnt
is
out.
it, and managers do have a tendency to stick with players that you think, change it, try and experiment it. But we think it will. I mean, the first game will go by, and if depending on the result, changes will be made. But will Wayne Rooney be made the scapegoat, or with the other players? Well, Wayne Rooney and Gerrard and Hart will be the three players, like you said, that will always be there.
You look at Roy Hodgson's interviews regarding the Rooney situation and Barkley. Roy Hodgson, I don't know whether he's trying to protect Rooney, he's trying to take the pressure off him, but he is addressing that point and whether Wayne Rooney's a cert to start.
It's not the same point though with Alan Shearer when it led up to the '96 Euros.
Yeah, but Alan
Shearer wasn't scoring, and then suddenly.
But Alan Shearer wasn't burnt out at the age of 25. He was still scoring 30 goals a season for Blackburn, and he came good. It was a gamble, but Wayne Rooney is a gamble too far for me.
I think Rooney is at the last chance saloon for an international tournament. He's a great player. He'll play. Fingers crossed he'll do well, and if he does.
I hope I'm proved wrong. I do acknowledge that he's a goal threat and that he scored 39 goals. You cannot discount that. But my concern about Wayne Rooney is burnout.
And you have no reservations about putting so-called inexperienced players like Lallana or Barkley in that kind of position. You would rather go with those two, either one of those two, over Wayne Rooney.
Yes,
that's what you're telling the audience watching this programme.
Yes, because Wayne Rooney's not fit. He's 80% fit. You need to be 100% fit. And the bottom line is, when you see a Wayne Rooney is not fit, what you're going to see is two things will happen. Is Wayne Rooney's going to go back into midfield to search for the ball. Therefore, when the chances come up front, he's not going to be fit enough for it. And two, as I've spoken to a lot of people before, Wayne Rooney's a liability when he's not fit.
And the point would be made as well in the last competition in South Africa, the way he reacted in front of the camera. Can he redeem himself a bit like David Beckham?
He was frustrated with himself. He was frustrated with himself.
I thought Euro 2012 was his chance to redeem himself, and he didn't play in his first two games.
He couldn't because he was suspended.
Yeah, he was suspended.
Liability, as Kenny was saying.
He scored from a yard against Ukraine in a game that mattered, i.e., the game where it was win or bust. He was anonymous. But then again, the whole team was anonymous. But this is Wayne Rooney, who is the fulcrum of the sun.
This is his chance to prove it.
Yes,
he needs to prove it, and I think he will. I think he's definitely number 2 or 3 on the team sheet when it gets put out.
Well, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, he needs to start hit the ground running against Italy. There's none of this, no excuses. Hit the ground running. I don't want a situation where I don't want him charging back into midfield trying to help out. I want him to do what he should be doing, i.e. playing behind the front, creating chances, and when the chances arise, he's in a fit enough condition to take those chances. I'm not convinced about Wayne Rooney at this level anymore.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got plenty more to talk about. I'm sure you're going to get quite a few people on Twitter, knowing that you're an Arsenal fan, giving you a little bit of stick.
Well, you know, they're entitled to their opinion, but these will be the same people who 6 months later will be slagging Wayne Rooney off when I'm proved right. Right,
okay. Well, it's a long tournament. Is Kenny right? Is Wayne Rooney a liability? Is he not fit? We'll talk about, get your views on that, and we're going to be talking about the England team a little bit later after this short break. Now, don't forget, we're back on Thursday evening. We've got a special ultimate betting guide. We've got Nigel Seeley, Roy Durrani from Stan James. We're going to be talking all things betting during the course of the World Cup as well. Don't forget to join us in part 2, where these guys will give us their England 11 to play Italy. We'll also look at the chances of winning that group as well. We're going to be back after this very short break. Welcome back to Sports Tonight Live, and we are in the midst of a debate about Wayne Rooney. We'll also get one or two tweets in. Having a go at you, Kenny. Get behind your country, they're saying.
Come on, Kenny.
We're all entitled to opinion. I think collectively we'd like to see the national side do very well, and we're all going to have our opinions on how they think they do well. But again, it's the team, not the individual.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions coming. One is from a David Doom. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And I'll open this up to you guys. Is Roy Hodgson the right man to get the best out of these young, talented players? You're obviously two Fulham fans that adored Roy Hodgson.
Still do.
You still do?
Yep.
Did he get the best out of the young players?
Young players, talented players was the question.
Young, talented players, come on.
I was going to say yes. Yes, he does, because that Fulham team that got to the Europa League final had no right to. No team gets to a European final with Chris Baird at right back. No team does that. Or Dixon Tuhu in centre midfield. It's the same with Euro 2012. A team that starts with Scott Parker and Andy Carroll has no right to do as well as they did. He's a very good man. He does get the best out of players. He made Bobby Zamora a world-class player. No one's allowed to do that.
Come on, Matt.
Bobby Zamora.
I think that's a bit much.
He made Bobby Zamora one of the best strikers in Europe for 1 year. That was it.
Well, I wish I could talk about my team on here, but anyway.
He's got a bad point. I mean, there were a lot of shots for Zamora to get called up that season.
Had he not been injured, I reckon he would have.
It's not a question. This is not a discussion about Bobby Zamora taking over from Wayne Rooney.
I think Roy Hodgson is a very good sort of manager who can motivate players, definitely gets the best out of them, and he can play the right system. So for him, if he played the likes of Barkley, Oxlade-Chamberlain, I believe, he's got that experience behind him. He's played, he managed that Inter Milan, Switzerland, big clubs. He's definitely learned something from his experiences there and used it, and will use it to give to these young players.
There's no question here. This is from Silverlinio. I like the Twitter name here, or JL at Silverlinio. How much has he given the exposure to the younger players? Obviously, he's protected Barkley. Oxlade-Chamberlain come on as substitute. Sterling, he seems to favour Welbeck over Sterling. Is there a point to say he's not giving the younger players an opportunity and just wants to protect them a little bit?
Well, part of it is sort of looking forward to, as Kenny was saying, France 2016. He wants to get and sort of burning them out. He wants to use it right. I mean, we were saying beforehand, you don't want to use Raheem Sterling too much. Otherwise, come Russia 2018, when he'll be, I forget his age, like 22, he'll have played too much and he'll be burnt out. So you've got to be careful how you use the young players.
I think he's also handling with the media as well. The media and the public expect a lot from these players. I'm seeing them week in, week out in the Premiership. If you almost give them the exposure that they sort of, the media and the fans want, they are going to get burnt out.
But isn't the case of some previous World Cups where you've left the younger player out, i.e. Michael Owen, and suddenly he comes and scores a wonder goal? Or certain younger players, after a defeat or a draw, I mean, say for example we lose to Italy, then the core will be to get the young players out. And you'll be under a lot of pressure to do that.
That happens all the time, though, isn't it? After the first game of every tournament in this country, the first thing they'll go, you've got to make changes, you've got to bring the young players on. And sometimes it works. He worked in '98 with Yowen. But I think with Roy Hodgson is that Roy Hodgson should have got a job probably 10 years ago. He was definitely should have got a job before Sven-Göran Eriksson. Sven-Göran Eriksson, I don't care what anyone says, one of the worst coaches this country's ever had. He had a golden generation. It was like basically giving pearls to swine because he was useless. Good at qualifying against teams like Northern Ireland, dare I say, sorry about that. Yep. Against teams like Liechtenstein, excellent.
Well, you don't often get a Welshman dressed in a Croatian team.
Got the best out of Heskey. Sven.
He scored. Well, Heskey scored against West Germany when they won 5-1.
Well, I mean, tweet us in if you agree with Kenny. Obviously, it's caused a little bit of controversy saying drop Wayne Rooney. Younger players, do you want to see them given a chance this World Cup? Bearing in mind, we keep saying this is not a competition we're going to win. So you keep saying we're not going to win it, so why not blood the youngsters?
Well,
but anyway,
there's nothing wrong with that. I agree with you. That's the whole point.
Absolutely, but he's not going to do that, though, is he?
Why not?
He's
You
not
don't
going to do
want
that.
to sort of give them too much, where they sort of go out there and if they have a bad game, and then they lose their confidence and they don't become the player that they potentially.
What about 2010? Germany, West Germany won the tournament in 2009. They won a European Championship final, thrashing England 4-0. Yep. Next year, those players that Horst Rubesch had all played in 2010 in the World Cup, got to the semi-finals. That same team, all youngsters, all players like Muller, Ozil, all these young players.
Within Britain,
it worked.
Within Britain, there is a distinct lack of cohesiveness between the under-21s and the full side. I mean, Stephen Taylor, who's at Newcastle, was captain of the under-21s and did incredibly well. Mark Noble, I think, had like 50 caps for the under-21s.
That's it.
But none of them have got a full cap.
But the reason why they don't get full caps is because the golden generation of Lampard, Beckham, Neville, Sol Campbell, Michael Owen, Rooney, those players were dead certs to get the team. There was no way to get in that squad.
Yeah, so it's the fault of previous management, where we look in the likes of 2008, where we failed to qualify for the Euros, and Capello, who haven't been able to blunt them youngsters in at that time. Where if you do look at the likes of, I'd say probably France, where they do have youth coming in.
Belgium have done incredibly well.
Yes, but I think Belgium have. I think Belgium's golden generation is now, and obviously that's another subject to talk about.
Is it a golden generation? No.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about that later, won't we?
We'll talk about that later. Let's now go through your England 11s. Joe Hart, we all agreed on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so we all started on a level we can all agree on.
Oh, you all agree on the formation as well, 4-2-3-1?
Well, we'll go through that. Glenn Johnson, I wouldn't have him playing.
You began a date. He's had Cole Walker's pelvic injury.
But I think this could be a weak area. Do you?
I think it is a weak area for it. I mean, he didn't have the greatest games against Peru. So
a lot of countries seem to go for the diagonal ball and catch Johnson.
What about against Liverpool? He cost them the Premier League in those last when they were 3-0 up. It was a lot of goals came down his side, down the left.
I think the problem is
Crystal Palace.
As you said, it's Carl Walker. There's no one challenging him.
Yes.
That's the problem, isn't it? And obviously tried out Milner. And the defence was quite weak when. But anyway, centre backs: Cahill, Jagielka.
Again, it's because there's no one challenging them.
Yeah.
We always having this discussion with people in my university. Go back 20 years ago. Bruce and Pallister were the best centre backs in England, but they couldn't get a game because you had other people in front of them. Now England are struggling to get Cahill and Jagielka, getting players of the talent.
I know he's not there. But talking about the best centre defensive,
John Terry should have gone. I know
John Terry should have gone.
It should have gone. But then again, where's the cut-off point? You're talking about players who consistently failed at the highest level.
Yeah, but Kenny, he's played at the top level. He's played with Cahill at Chelsea.
All right,
they have been actually.
Oh, let me tell you something about John Terry. You played John Terry, right? And you want to change tactics and play the high line. You cannot play the high line with John Terry in the side.
Okay,
he's got no pace.
Do you think there's a case then with the FA, FA sort of, obviously everything that's gone there? If the FA came out and said, "Look, sorry, John, we want you back."
What should I say?
There is that case where the FA are sort of having that putting their foot down and going, "Look, we're not going to go back there." It's not.
Why should they go back there? He's retired from international football. When you retire from international football, as far as I'm concerned, it's over. You shouldn't beg players to come back and retire.
Didn't stop him trying to attempt to get Paul Scholes back at one time, if I seem to remember.
Paul Scholes. Okay, again, I don't agree with that stance. If you retire from your national side, it's goodbye. Because at the end of the day, the reason why these players retire is because they want to concentrate in a couple of careers.
Okay. Well, John Terry's not there, and I'm sure, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I think he should be there. Baines?
Baines picks himself now, because I think what's happening is that it was a decision where Roy Hodgson, like I said, he was pushing towards that Baines and Baines anyway for the last year or so. So it was a decision he had to make. He couldn't take Ashley Cole as the.
Cole wasn't getting the team.
And basically, Jose Mourinho ended his career at the top level.
Okay, so we're saying the back four is basically picks itself. There's nothing much we can do with it because Smalling and plays it.
There's no one of any decent talent challenging him yet. Wait till Dan
Where do we differ in midfield? You put Milner down.
I've put Are we going defensive midfielders first?
Well, Gerrard in front of the back four.
Yeah, Gerrard in front of the back four. Yeah.
Quarterback.
I've got Gerrard and Henderson.
So you want two in front of the back four?
I've got two in front of the back four.
So you're more offensive than Roy Hodgson then?
I think Gerrard's one of your players who's going to sit back and he can spray the ball about. Henderson has got to be your box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah, that's it, definitely.
Would you have Henderson as well?
Well, I've picked Henderson. I think that's the team he's going to go for. Roy Hodgson's going to want legs in midfield. He's, again, as Dave says, he wants people going box to box. And I think Henderson just gives them that. Dare I say it?
How can we speak to the man who's picked Milner? I know he's
No, hang on. No.
Have you picked Milner in your team?
I have. I've put him on the right wing, but I'm focused on the defensive midfielders. I've put Phil Jones in there.
You picked someone who's not fit. He's not fit. He's
not fit, and he hasn't played.
But hang on, I misunderstood this whole thing. I thought this was if we were in England. I thought this was if we were an England manager. Who would we pick? Well, I'm a big fan of Phil Jones.
Look, if that's your best 11, that's your best 11.
Yeah, I think stick Phil Jones and Andrea Pirlo. He'll shut him down.
I mean, that's the point, though. I don't take your point about Jones, but would you get a man to man-mark Pirlo, considering...
The other option, though, is if Wayne Rooney wants to be this box-to-box midfielder, have him sitting alongside Gerrard and put him in the, I'm going to sound like a hipster here, but in the Yaya Toure role, sitting deep and then bombing forward. Because he wants to do it. He wants to track back and out back and defend. Let him do it.
Yeah, and he's out of position, and which means you got a spare man in midfield.
Okay,
it doesn't work.
David, you're going for Gerrard and Henderson.
I've got Gerrard and Henderson.
I went Gerrard and Jones.
Gerrard and Henderson.
You know why I went for Jones? Because it's a Welsh name.
Yeah, I went to Jones. Sorry, brother Jones. I went Henderson and Gerrard.
Henderson and Gerrard. Right, left.
Left, I've gone Welbeck because I think Roy Hodgson's going to pick Welbeck anyway because Welbeck's been a.
We read about the injury that was.
Yeah, I was going to say. If you've heard these stories, apparently he's been got a knock.
He didn't train today.
He didn't train today. Well, I think if he's fit, then Welbeck will play in Roy Hodgson's team because he's got pace, he can get back and help Baines, and he scores a goal at international level. He scored 22 appearances, 8 goals. Can't argue that.
Are you agreed?
I mean, we've both gone for Lallana, haven't we?
Yeah. Bit of creativity on there.
He's had a good season.
I don't disagree with picking
team
him
doesn't involve Wayne Rooney, so that's why he can get the and Welbeck.
You haven't seen my team. You haven't seen my team. I've gone with who Roy Hodgson's going to pick, and you'll find that Wayne Rooney's in that team that I've put in, but it's not my team. Okay. But I think that's what Roy Hodgson's going to pick.
Right, okay. You've misread what we asked you to do, Kenny. It was to give your 11. Right-hand side.
Right, my right-hand side, I've gone with pace. I've gone Raheem Sterling. I think I would have gone...
Do you think Hodgson will pick Raheem Sterling?
I think he probably would, yes. For a simple reason. He wants pace. He wants to attack Italy's left-hand side of the defence. And I think what will happen is that I think that it's the Italian back four will struggle against genuine pace and movement.
I agree. I've gone with Sterling as well. With Oxlade-Chamberlain, doubtful. Yeah. I would say very doubtful for the Italy game. Mm-hmm. I think he would have started with Oxlade.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then probably brought Sterling on later on. With him out, he's put in Sterling. He's going to try and hopefully he'll be sort of one of our surprise packages. Hopefully.
Yeah. And I've gone with James Milner. I like him going forward. He's a bit of a liability going back, as we found out against Peru. But James Milner, the other reason I stuck him in there is if England have used their 3 substitutions and Wayne Rooney gets sent off, which he is very likely to do not rule out that Wayne Rooney will lose his cool. If Wayne Rooney gets sent off and you have to rejig the team, James Milner gives a lot more flexibility.
Isn't it fair to say also, with having the youngsters with a bit of pace, it might catch him out a little bit later on. We've got one position left, which is up front.
Well, I've gone for Wayne Rooney, not because simple reason. I think that's the team Hodgson in the play, and Hodgson will argue that, and I think argue convincingly that Wayne Rooney scored 39 goals in international level, which is a lot of goals. My argument is he fit? I don't think so.
Well, we've had that argument. People would say, well, whether you're fit at all, Kenny.
They're entitled to say that. I'm not a professional footballer.
So quickly, the 11 that you would like to see, Kenny. Quickly.
Well, Wayne Rooney wouldn't be in it.
Let's get out for your 11.
I'll have Lallana instead of Rooney, and I'll just have Sturridge up front.
Yeah. Okay.
Sturridge up top. He's the most prolific English goal scorer. You've got to go for it.
Sturridge up front. Rooney just behind him. And what I said earlier, I think Rooney and Sturridge work well together, and hopefully, Rooney is fit enough.
I mean, obviously this game's going to be really tight. Do you think it will have a bearing on whether England get through or not? I mean, are you saying, look, if we lose this game, everyone's heads are going to drop and that's it?
Well, not at all. There's still 6 points to play for,
Yeah.
and England are more than capable of winning both those games. But it's better to come away with a point than nothing at all.
Would you be happy with a point?
Well, yeah, you've got to be. You have to be happy with a point. Simple reason is that it takes the pressure off. I think Italy would be happy with a point.
David, you'd be
Yeah,
happy with a point?
I'll be happy. I said that at the start of the show, take a point.
Point all day long.
And I'd be happy with no points for England throughout the whole 3 games. But that being said, if I'm taking this as a neutral,
Yeah.
England 1 point will be a fantastic result.
It's
Preferably scoring a goal, because goal difference will come down.
It's just
to
a tough game.
Well, if you say goal difference is going to come down to it, there's an argument to say that England won't score enough goals if it comes to it. Because Uruguay are going to be very attacking.
Yeah.
Costa Rica will be, but you suspect they'll get beat. And then Uruguay, that will sort of be the goal average.
I think it will come down to it, but I genuinely believe, right, with Italy in that group, you'll find that it's not going to be a very high-scoring group.
Yeah.
In other games, especially the games involving Italy. And I do think that there are going to be a lot of draws, and it probably will come down to who. I'll say 5. Don't be surprised if 5 points don't get you through.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I did mine,
Kenny says it's going to take 5 points to get England through. We're going to have a quick chat after the break about those other games, Costa Rica and Uruguay. Obviously, Suarez looked absolutely fit as a fiddle, didn't he, in those clips earlier on. We're going to talk about that, and we've got more World Cup coverage a little bit later on as well. Do join us after this break.